The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome once again to Aguiar on Public Safety. I'm Richard Aguiar, the Chief of Special Services and Director of Fall River Emergency Management. Today I have a great guest, a good friend of mine, Michael Dion, who is the Director of Fall River Community Development. And I know, Mike, a lot of people don't really realize what you actually do and all the benefits that you help the city with, the money you give the city, and I think it's about time that people understand what your job entails. So explain to the visiting audience, what is community development?
Well, first I want to thank you for having me today. Anytime we can let the residents know what community development does and why we're here is very important, very, very important. So community development, we just did our 50th year. We've been in business for 50 years. We write state and federal grants, and we turn those grants over to either a city department or a nonprofit that's located in the city. The office is broken up into 3 divisions. There's a community development division, there's a housing division, and there's a homelessness division. So in each one of those categories, the Community Development Block Grant Program is funded solely by Community Development Block Grant. The housing is funded by the Home Investment Partnership Grant, and ESG has 2 grants. The homeless services are funded through Emergency Shelter Solutions Grant Program, and they're also funded through the Continuum of Care Program. So we have about, I want to say 10 to about $15 million a year goes through community development. And I tell everybody we basically touch almost everything that happens in government, from park improvements to neighborhood policing to streets and sidewalks, we fund all 4 senior centers in the city. We have 7 or 8 police officers. The community policing, I want to say that they call it the NEAT program now, is run through community development. We fund, like I said, streets and sidewalks in low-income areas, park improvement program. We have the recreation program, and that's basically community development. We in the housing part of it, we're the sole producers of affordable housing in the city. We do rehabs for multifamilies, single families. We also do first-time home buyer opportunities. We give a grant out, and we do a lot of de-letting in the city to units. And then we have the homelessness, which we fund the First Step In shelter. We fund our domestic women's shelter, our sister's place. We also fund homeless prevention and rapid rehousing services through Catholic Social Services, now Catholic Charities. And we have a lot of permanent supportive housing throughout the city with like the Next Step Home program, the Stone Residence program, Home First Consolidated, and you can go on and on and on.
So, in essence, with all these federal grants that this presidential administration is cutting, this could affect you in a big way because you depend on these federal grants and federal money to support those organizations that you're talking about, correct?
Yeah, right now we are hooked up to HUD. HUD's a really big agency. We deal with the Community Planning and Division Department. There are serious cuts that are on the table to that department. Trump wants to reduce the number of people that work there for HUD. And you're going to laugh. It's about 900 and something people work there in the community planning division throughout the country. He wants to reduce that by 84% to about 150 people. I have a tough enough time now getting contracts done, working with HUD. I can't believe it going down to 250 people. 150 people, I mean. The other problem that we're having is with Trump is the cancellation of the community development program and the home program. If those two go away, the whole system goes away.
Is that a definite? Is he thinking?
I don't know yet.
That,
We'll know we'll probably know in the next couple weeks. They were supposed to do a continuing resolution that the government's supposed to close by tomorrow, I think tomorrow night. A continuing resolution was put out there, but I heard that it was not supported. That will shut down the government. But the continuing resolution was a 1-year continuing resolution, which would fund the programs for a whole year at the old rate, which would take that unknown aspect out of our programs, which would be good. Right now, we don't know if we have a job going forward. So I have a lot of people that work with me that are concerned right now what the future holds.
Well, I can, in emergency management, we get the EMPG grant, and that grant is primarily offered to EMA directors who have city and towns. Forever usually gets somewhere around $35,000, $40,000, and I use that to support EMA organization in the city, which it's a worthwhile organization. So the state director got a hold of us directors and asked us to write a letter to our local senators and state reps to try to prevent this from happening, because it looks like they're going to cut those budgets and federal funding for emergency management. So we're also going to have a roundtable where we're going to talk about this with the lieutenant governor and how we need this monies. But maybe if all you people get together and do this, the people in the opposition, but no matter what we do, I think if it's going to be cut, it's going to be cut. And your organization helps a lot of people in the city.
Yeah, we have a full-time lobbying organization, the National Community Development Association, that works with us. We do fund that organization. We have Community Development Week that's going to be happening within the next month. So there's a lot of outreach. There's a lot of letting people know, letting our representatives know what's happening on the ground floor. Without community development funding, I would hate to see, what this city would look like, to be honest. A lot of the park projects that you've seen go through in the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of the sidewalks and streets just wouldn't be done, and you're very well aware of, I think it was 4 years ago, we replaced the aging fleet for the Fall River Fire Department.
Yeah. And
right now we have two, we just did another Section 108 loan. We have a pumper and I believe a ladder truck that are on order. So, take that stuff away. Take away the 4 senior centers, take away the recreation programs, take away the housing programs. Right now, we're doing a rehab to a project on Thomas Street. It's only 2 units, but it's going to be 2 brand new units. Right now, I'm going to be closing very soon, I think in a week or 2, on a Rock Street property that has 25 units. So, it's going to have a dramatic impact of what happens in the city of Fall River if these funds do not come to fruition.
So if these funds do not come to fruition, if they're cut, all these projects that you spoke about, the apparatus, renovation of apartments, does all that go away?
Yes, that the city would have to pick up the purchase of the fire trucks. They'd have to pick up the 4 senior centers.
Oh.
Something would have to happen with our recreational programs in the city. No park projects other than anything that would happen on the city side would have to be done by the city. So it would have a dramatic impact.
Oh, it would be devastating.
Yeah.
It certainly would be devastating.
It would be. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but like you said, you have a president that has House of Representatives and has Congress as Republicans. There's a Republican president, so he has a lot of the power right now. It's very difficult, very, very difficult to get anything done right now. Which has been a big game changer, is over the last few administrations. We had what you call congressional set-asides. We were able to get 2 grants, one for about $1.5 million, the other one for $1.6 million. The $1.5 million grant was to revitalize the Flint neighborhood. and the $1.6 million grant was for cathodic protection on the city pier, and also some increase the parking down on the waterfront. Those two grants are still there. We're working with those two grants, but I was informed yesterday that there are no more set-asides in the budget going forward.
I think we can both say, in government there's a lot of wasteful spending of money, but when you have projects such as this that helps different communities, cities and towns, this is good money being used. It's not being erratically spent.
Yeah, in my I've been there 30 years, and I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah.
And I was telling people, this is a bipartisan issue. There are Republican mayors out there, there are Republican governors out there, as well as Democratic governors and mayors. And the funding that community development provides it to all communities.
Yeah, it's not.
So whatever's happening in those communities are good things, just like Fall River. It's good items that are happening.
I know. I hear a lot when you're talking on the radio about first homeowners grants and loans.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah, I'm on WSAR quite a bit.
Yeah, you are.
We have a first-time homebuyer program. Okay, it's for a person to either for the down payment or for closing costs, and it's a grant. It is a loan as long as you keep the property your primary residence for 5 years. That loan becomes a grant. We write it off. Okay, you make no payments on it whatsoever. All right, it has helped a lot of people, a lot of people to buy their first home. It does have restrictions on it. It has income restrictions on it, but we go through that whole process. The process of a first-time home buyer loan is somewhere around a month to a month and a half from the beginning of the application to the actual closing. It's a good program. The program has had its challenges recently over the last year and a half, because the price of housing has increased so dramatically. But it's a tool. It's there. It's there to promote, first-time home buyers. Right now, we just recently, it comes to my mind, just recently, St. Louis School, we have 12 of the 17 apartments for Fall River preference, okay? We ask anybody that's interested in those units, if you're a Fall River resident, please come to our office for a first-time home buyer loan. We will work with anybody for a piece of property that's located in Fall River. If it's located in surrounding areas, we don't deal with those properties. We also have a great partnership with a lot of lending institutions in the city. Fall River Municipal Credit Union. We work with Bay Coast Bank, Fall River 5, all kinds of different lenders that we have that know about the product, that know about the program. It's a great program.
Particularly young people who are just starting off, they don't have a lot of money.
Correct.
And a lot of these young people today, they have young families, they're paying college loans, rents are sky high. Correct. And this benefits them to start off. I mean, we're not like, back when I bought my house, I was fortunate back in the day. I had some money saved up, but you can't do that today. These young kids are struggling as is.
It's so expensive now. Everything's so expensive. The price of food, the price of everything. What's really nice about the first-time homebuyer program is we see a lot of people that come in where we look at their sources and we look at the uses and of funding, and there's just a small shortfall. It could be $6,000, $7,000, where if we're there and we can provide that funding to them, they can get that property. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to. So I've seen some great success stories. Every one of them, I think, is a success story. Mm-hmm. But it's really changed some people's lives. It really turned around some people's lives, which is what we're involved in. We're here for the good of the community. We take in taxpayer dollars, and we disperse those taxpayer dollars. And one of the things I love about community development is it's not dictated by me. It's not dictated by the mayor. It's dictated by citizens' participation. It's so much involved in finding out what is a priority of the city residents in Fall River. So every 5 years we do what we call a consolidated plan. We just finished up one of the consolidated plans last week, and we'll be going to the city council with that to get that approved and stuff. And we do like a community survey, and we had about, I want to say, a little less than maybe 1,100 responses. And we go out there and we ask people, what do you want to see with your money? So, you know, if you're getting $3 million of block grant over 1 year, 5 years would be $15 million. What do you want to see over those 5 years with that $15 million to be accomplished?
And if a lot of this federal money goes away, all these great projects goes away with it, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
And we can't let that happen. How do we prevent that? There's no way to prevent it. They put the axe to it.
Correct. The only way to try to prevent it is to let people know how important that funding is to your city.
Yeah, I mean,
I know we are a blue state. We are a democratic state. But it is so important that we let people know, our elected officials know, what has been accomplished with community development funding. I mean, I have the best job in the world. I love it. I love it because I get to see so many different improvements happening in the community. You know, I was so impressed with what we did down at Kennedy Park, with the pickleball courts, with the tennis courts, how we put a new volleyball court in, how we did stuff at Britland Park with the new basketball courts. We did new basketball courts at Chew, Turner Park. We're working now on a skateboard park for Lafayette Park. And that's just one aspect of it. You know, there's a whole aspect that we deal with the homelessness and how we provide warming shelters and how we provide an overflow shelter and, you know, how we deal with the Tomato Center and how we're asking Stepping Stone to go from 30 beds to 50 beds all year round, and how we developed a weather crisis shelter at First Baptist Church. That stuff, you know, really changes people's lives, and I couldn't be more happier being in this position to be able to do that. I mean, it really, every morning I wake up with a smile on my face, and I wake up and say, you know, what can we accomplish? What can we do? And I have a great city administration that allows me to do my job. The mayor is wonderful, and we work together very, very, very closely for the benefit of the people of Fall River. I mean,
you mentioned the Tomato Center. I know a few years ago you put a lot of money into the Tomato Center to bring up the snuff for the homeless with Pastor Tom.
Well, we had a homeless, if you know, going back, we had a homeless overflow shelter that moved.
Yeah.
Okay, because of regulations and building codes, we would move that every 2 weeks. And transportation became really a problem. Because one of the moves was way up in the north end. We tried to keep it locally downtown, but it was tough. And we moved it. We moved it from First Baptist Church to, there was a church up north.
Too, right? Wasn't Christchurch?
Christchurch. It was all over. And like I said, transportation became a huge issue. And with one of the good things that came out of COVID, and not many good things came out of it, but one of the good things that came out of it was we were given some extra money to provide shelter for people that were having problems with COVID. And we developed an overflow shelter that actually met requirements down at the Tomato Center. And you know, it was a shelter that did not have to move. Pastor Tom Mello and his wife Lisa Mello, wonderful people. So we went down there, and it was a long-term vision. It was a vision that the administration had. It was a vision that the mayor had, and we looked at it and said, you know, how do we convert this into a nice shelter? and we put 2 new bathrooms. We redid some storage facilities, put a new washroom in, put washers and dryers in. We put in a full-time generator. We did some lighting. We did some signage. We did some heating systems. And one of the main reasons was that, you know, we wanted not only to be an overflow shelter, but we wanted it to be some type of shelter for the city. So if EMA or EMS, or if there was a problem, we can open that up in no time. Instead of opening up a high school or opening up a school where kids are going to school and stuff like that, we can open that up right away. So it was really a benefit to the community. It was a benefit to, I believe, EMA and your department. It was a benefit for us where we didn't have that transportation problem anymore. And it's really, really worked well for us. You know, they have 30 beds there right now, and even though, you know, I went through and I looked to see if they were at capacity during the winter time, they were recently near capacity with about 28 people, but that would be 28 people that don't have shelter.
You know, you had mentioned, so schools, I mean, back in the day, I opened up shelters at Durfee High School, Sylvia School, because we had no place to go for if we had snowstorms, power lines down, and so forth. When we had the fire at the Academy building, we had 88 people that were displaced, and most of the people went to families, but we had 12 people that had no place to go. I called Pastor Tom, and he said to me, absolutely, bring them down here, we'll accommodate them. Well, I'll tell you, those people down at the Mayo Center were so kind to these people, they could not help them enough. They came in, they cooked for them, they had showers, they could wash their clothes, as you mentioned. But I think at the Tameo Center, they also bring a spiritual guidance to these people where they could help them. And they had that kindness about them, all the people that volunteer for Pastor Tom. And it was a great experience for me and a great experience for those people. They were there like 4 or 5 days, I forget now. Some of them didn't want to leave. Yeah, they were treated better there than...
It's a good place.
It's a good place.
And I have to say, and you know this already, it's really built on partnerships.
Yeah.
How many times do I call you
all the time.
On a Saturday, Sunday, hey, I need this, I need that, I need to have some more cots, I need blankets, I need this, you know, and you're always there. And it's the same thing with me when you call me at all kinds of crazy hours at night. And it's the same thing with Tom and his wife, Lisa. I mean, it's really built on partnerships. You have to work together to get to that common goal, and that's one of the things I'm proud about so much of Fall River is no matter what, we always work towards an end result, a common goal that's the best for everybody.
And that's what it's all about. It's about working together, camaraderie, respecting each other for who they are, and taking advantage of the knowledge that people have and the opportunities that you can have with those people. And as you had mentioned, you and I have been working together a long time. We have a great relationship with all of this stuff. And that's important to build up partnerships because it's like you mentioned, I have, in the emergency management, we have our own shelter trailer. We have cots, we have blankets, we have sanitizing kits, we have everything in that trailer. If we have to go to, let's say, school for an example, if we have a major snowstorm, we can set that whole school up because we have our own, we're self-sufficient with that stuff. And a lot of this stuff came from grant money, federal grant money. And this is what I'm worrying about. I'm saying, if I look at all this stuff I've been the director since 2004, and I received almost $600,000 in grant money for the city. Stuff that I purchased did not cost the city a dime, all through federal grant money.
Yeah, that's what we do too. We know how precious the money is in the city budget. So I tell our grant writers that we have to go after every grant that you can, as long as it's within our core mission.
Yeah.
I don't want to go after something that we are not good at. To go back to again partnerships and working well together. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, I've seen your men and yourself in action. A while back, I saw you guys on Pleasant Street up where the old school was, and there was a fire there. I think at the time Sam Sutter was mayor or something.
Okay.
But I've seen what you guys do. I've seen how you provide support at fires, and and it goes far beyond that. I've seen you at city functions, I putting lights up, and so it just doesn't stop with okay, there's a fire. When the chips are down, when we need help, when the administration needs help, when CDA needs help, we know who to call.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
And
I have a great team of volunteers behind me.
You can't ask for a better bunch of guys. I mean, I've seen them work. I've seen how you support people. Where we are way better off having you in our corner and working together than not having you guys.
Thank you.
So I really look up to the people you have, yourself. It's a good group, a good organization.
Thank you.
And it really changes. It really helps out and changes. How many times there's a fire and you call me and you say, hey, Mike, the Red Cross, I'm working with the Red Cross and they're willing to put up somebody for 2 nights. Can we do something? Can we put something up for a couple more nights? Can we work with the landlord? It's working together. That's the most important thing.
We have a great relationship now with the Marriott in Dartmouth, Fawns Corner Road, whereas they'll put the displaced family up for 1 night. We spoke about that.
Yeah.
For nothing. And until the Red Cross can get them situated, or the landlord. Some landlords, as you can relate to, are tough to deal with. And some of the tenants will even take the landlord, as you can relate to as well, to court, housing court. And it doesn't have to get to that point, because I think, like you said, we're a partnership. Let's work together. You've got displaced families, you have homeless people, whatever their condition are, drug abuse, alcoholic abuse, they're human beings, they need to be helped.
Yeah, and it's really, like I said, I hate to keep saying it, but a partnership. I mean, there's been many a times where I've worked with landlords, that they've had a unit where there might be some past due rent on that, and they don't want to adhere to fire safety, fire codes, and I've worked with them to get past due rent paid. So that they feel that they have some, sounds funny, skin in the game, that they're part of the process. So landlords are very important to us.
Yeah.
Without them, I can't provide housing. So it's a good group. It's a good partnership. We have a lot of things going on at community development as we speak. There's a lot for the future, so I hate to see the programs go away. I really honestly don't know how they would go away to some extent, because I'm so ingrained in how government works in the city that it would be catastrophic from what I can see. And I'm not saying that because I'm the executive director. Well, I mean, hey, if I, like I said, if I don't have a job, I don't have a job. I'll go do something else. But
an organization is all good, is good at this leader, and you're a great leader at this.
Thank you.
You take the bull by the horn, and you just do the best job you can. And fortunately for us, in my situation and yours, we have the mayor's backing and his blessing. And that's what's important, because if the administration does not work with you, then it doesn't work at all.
He's great with me. Yeah. I could not ask for a more honest, more hardworking person to work on the side of. Sometimes I'm in awe because people who know me know that I'm a hard worker. I spend a lot of time at Government Center. Yeah. And he's right there.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of times when him and I are on a Saturday or Sunday, he'll call me at my house and he'll say, hey, what are you doing today? And I'll say, why? He says, well, I get this cleanup. Would you like to do this cleanup with me? Or would you like to go in an encampment? And I got 50 other things I'd love to do, but, I go. I go because I really care,
Well, Mike, thank you. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And I really appreciate you being here.
This went by real quick, and I'm available anytime.
Anytime, yeah. We have to do this again.
Keep up the good work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.